Now, I am very pleased to introduce our distinguished speaker, Gerardo Ubaghs, who earned his MBA from the Kelley School in 2012, although he's going to have to sit there for a moment because I've got to tell you what he's been doing. Gerardo is Frontier Medicine's Chief Financial Officer. Frontier Medicines is a precision medicine company that has pioneered proprietary discovery and development platform to develop medicines against disease-causing proteins previously considered to be undruggable. Prior to joining Frontier Medicines, Gerardo was managing director in the Global Healthcare Investment Banking Group at Bank of America Securities. He brings over 10 years of advisory and capital markets experience in biopharma and computationally enabled drug discovery, having executed over $12 billion in equity and equity-linked financing and over $100 billion in M&A and strategic transactions. Prior to his investment banking career, Gerardo was a professional solo classical violinist and chamber musician, performing across the United States, Europe, South Africa, and Asia. Gerardo studied at the Conservatory of Valencia, the Reina Sofia School of Music in Madrid, the University of Valencia, and Indiana University, and holds bachelor's and master's degrees in both music performance and business administration. And none of us in the room are going to be surprised at this next fact, because clearly he likes a challenge. He's also currently pursuing an additional degree in physics at Columbia University. So please join me in welcoming Gerardo Ubaghs.
Thank you, Dean Hopkins. Good morning. This is moving and exciting in ways you can't imagine, and completely undeserving of an invitation if you ask me. But IU and both Jacobs School of Music and Kelley School of Business are home. And when home calls, especially if it's in the form of Dean Ash and Executive Director Gail Nichols, the only answer is, sir, yes, sir. And of course, ma'am, yes, ma'am. And absolutely, I'll be there. When is it? Of course, the unofficial version of that was more something along the lines of, holy moly, are you serious? Followed by, wait, why? And then, are you sure? You can still back out of this if you guys are not sure. But against all odds, here we are. And I can't help but reminisce about what got us here and the people that have meaningfully contributed to making IU a second home for me. So I would like to first extend warm acknowledgments to some of those IU individuals, if you allow me to. I'm sure I'll miss some, so please forgive me for that. First, my parents, Juana and Lucia, and my brother, Eduardo, for always providing equal amounts of unconditional support and tough love and doses of reality checks, much needed. Fast forward 22 years later, now exactly 20 years ago in 2005, here at IU Jacobs School of Music, Mark Kaplan, who warmly welcomed me into his graduate violin studio. The late greats, both Andre Watts and Janos Starker, who generously kept lending their time and warmth through uncountable chamber music lessons and dinners. Fast forward again, now 5 years to 2010, my first year here at Kelley. Gail Nichols, who is here today and continues to imprint her joy for life in every conversation we have. Professor Haberly of the Investment Banking Academy for his tough love and unconditional support. Todd Richter and Mandar Vadavkar, also IU graduates who gave me my first shot at B of A post-graduation. More on mentorship later. Green cohort, core teammates, Mark Rossi, Brian Yedo, and Jenna Schellenberger, for all those late nights and laughs studying and preparing for deliverables. I'm sure you guys have had the same experience. Tim Cha, who's sitting right there. Emery Zink and JP Vega for still being such great friends to this date. Danny Locasto, roommate extraordinaire. And of course, all the members of Space Truck, Tom Rampley, Tom Hewitt, Ryan Croyle, Joel Arnold, and Gerald Pan for fulfilling my dream of playing in a rock band. More on that later. And of course, fast forward another 13 years post-graduation. Thank you so much, Dean Ash, for the invitation, Dean Hopkins for being here today, and all of you, the graduating class of 2025, for allowing me to be here today. It is an absolute honor. So over the next 10 minutes, I promise I'll keep it short, I'd love to share 6 thoughts as you embark in this new chapter in your lives. I hope you find some of these anecdotes helpful, or at least entertaining, before you move on to more fun parts of the ceremony. Brief context. I was born in Valencia, Spain, to a northern Belgian father and a mom who was born and raised in Morocco until she was about 20 and moved back to Spain at the same time as my dad moved there from Belgium as well. Reason I'm saying this, I was born in a very supporting family, and I started playing violin at age 5 and loved rock and roll, science, and the dream of traveling and coming to the US where the movies and the dreams are made. That 5-year-old kid would spend days on end playing completely out of tune and extremely passionately alongside records of my favorite soloists. I would absolutely suck, of course, but would love dreaming of big stages like this and would play in the bathroom of our home because it had great acoustics, like here, and it made anything sound great. It took about 10 years of daily practice after that to start performing first in Spain, then in some competitions in Germany throughout my high school. Another 5 years or so, now we're at age 20, to get invited under scholarship to school in Germany and to perform in Europe, South Africa, China, South Korea, and Japan. Then another 3 to 5 years or so, now we're age 25, to actually move to the US, here at IU, Jacobs School of Music, to perform on this very stage. That's a total of 20 years of daily small incremental steps. So, in the words of the great philosopher, Dave Chappelle, be a dreamer, be a powerful dreamer, but then also learn to forget about that and focus on the little daily task at hand every day. Persistence, discipline, and patience matter as much as having big dreams. Slow and steady wins the race every single time. As the music path I described started to get on autopilot, the back of my head continued to be intrigued about learning how the world worked. I realized I could enroll in Spain for a second undergrad in finance and econ to continue adding tools to my mental kit and satisfy my intellectual curiosity. At that particular time, I was already enrolled here at Jacobs, pursuing a performance diploma followed by a master's in music degree, while also finishing up an artist performance diploma at the University of Music Saar in Germany. I had done some digging and realized that the exam schedules across the 3 universities did not overlap, so I could fill the performance schedules, workload, and exams across the 3 without a problem. So I enrolled in Spain for finance and econ as well. Not gonna lie, it was pretty wild of a schedule for a bit, but it enabled me to truly scratch my itch for knowledge, and also have the business foundation and confidence to apply to Kelley and continue to fulfill my dream to live here. The point here is, don't follow the traditional path just because it's what everybody else does, or because it's the way it always has been done. Look at things on first principles, see what's really possible, ignore the outside noise, and build something that is right for you. It only has to work for you as long as you're doing the work that is required. The first few weeks here at Kelley, we all attended the Academy presentations, and Professor Haberly mentioned exactly 2 things at the beginning of his presentation. He said banking was learning through hard work, pain, and lots of hours. And number 2, it was virtually impossible for non-US students to get a job in this industry post-banking crisis. So any of us would have to have a plan B to return to Europe since it was very unlikely to work out for us. I recall vividly responding 2 things. 1, thinking, that sounds horrible. What a great idea, I'll do that. And then the second one, walking up to him and saying, I'm Gerardo, I want to join your academy, and I'll do anything that's required, but I'm not going back to Europe, and there is no plan B for me. Are we clear? So I spent the following half year flying to New York every few weeks, Friday morning first flight, and returning that same night to network and seek introductions. Flights were a lot cheaper back then, trust me. Getting initially rejected, sometimes just plain sucking, sometimes people feeling guilty and saying, don't just fly up to New York to see me, just drop your resume closer to Super Day. Nobody wanted to be the reason I would fly there and then they might have to cancel. I then realized it may be risky, but I tried a different path. I just flew out there on my own and basically white-lied people, emailing short fuse under the premise of already being there in the area to visit other folks and asking for a few minutes at the Starbucks downstairs for their 5-minute coffee break. Now, I would still suck sometimes, and I recall a few instances where Professor Haberly provided me very candid feedback on my performance, but also sometimes some bankers just simply had already picked their favorites, and I should just not pursue them anymore and move on, as painful as it sounded to potentially lose another opportunity in a tough market. So there's two lessons here. One is be bold, like I was with Professor Haberly, be stubborn, and be persistent. Create your opportunities. Don't just wait for them to happen. However, the second lesson is another great philosopher, Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones. You can't always get what you want. So it is as important or more to be self-aware, receive tough feedback, and let go of some things that just aren't meant for you, at least at that point in time. Now, it's almost 25 years after that 5-year-old kid who, after playing violin, would also blast the speakers in this room to legendary rock bands like Queen, pretending to play along on guitar. It's the end of the first year at Kelley, and I heard about this tradition of second year sometimes doing amateur performances for the first few years at Kelley events, and as fate would have it, there would be a few other first years who also had played music and had started putting a rock band together for that tradition. They had picked a name, and that name was Space Truck. They mentioned it had been their dream to play Devil Went Down to Georgia if they only knew somebody who played the fiddle. Well, easy enough on the electric violin, I said. And it was my dream to play covers of rock songs and learn to play electric guitar. So long story short, we ended up having the time of our lives during our second year. We played at the upstairs pub, had our name on the billboard of the Bluebird, and we even recorded a live set at the Bluebird. Stay tuned for the Spotify release, keep you posted. The point here is, yes, work hard, keep focused, and take life seriously, but also take fun very seriously. Find something else that you absolutely love and people that you have a blast with, and the more different to your day job, the better. It'll keep you mentally sane and make for great stories for your kid, or at least a decent graduation speech. We're getting there. 2 more points. After graduating in 2012, I joined B of A full-time as a young associate. In addition to Todd and Mandar, there was a young, soft-spoken VP who really helped me join the healthcare group. After a tough summer internship at a different bank, I was hoping I had finally found the right home, full of hardworking folks who I can still call friends today. It was hard work, but definitely also that right fit with the right people that enabled me to work on some of the prominent deals on the street, still to date. Allergan Activist, 71 billion M&A, Alexion AstraZeneca, 40 billion, and BioNTech's IPO, which are the developers of the COVID vaccine that plenty of you have taken and marketed by Pfizer. After 10 years, the time came for the dreaded last promotion, managing director. Now, that young VP that had hired me had left years ago and was now CFO of a very sought-after biotech that every other bank on Wall Street was seeking as well. His CEO was another Midwest fella I had met also years ago as a junior banker while he was at a smaller company, and he remembered me for being kind to him and hardworking for him when other people wouldn't. They both pounded the table for their board of directors for me to be their lead M&A and capital markets banker, pushing my final promotion process through the finish line. They were also key in helping me get the current job as CFO of Frontier Medicines. So another great philosopher comes to mind, Samuel L. Jackson. I heard him say once in an interview, don't step on anybody's toes. They might be attached to the rear. You might have to kiss much, much later. The point here being, work hard, be relentless, but don't just chase jobs and titles at any cost. Follow people instead. People you fit with, people you can learn from, and be helpful, be kind, no matter to whom, and expecting nothing in return. Now, there's one last thought I want to leave you with on the personal front. The last 3 years have been a bit of a roller coaster on a number of personal fronts. 3 sudden deaths in the very near family, my uncle, my grandpa, and my half-brother. My dad going through cancer and luckily coming out of it quickly and completely free of it now. And also about a year and change ago, I lost somebody who I loved and still love very much for extremely dumb reasons, including extremely poor self-awareness at the time and even poor communication skills. People say life is short. A better quote comes to mind. You only die once, you live every day. I want to say I have seen this attributed to another great philosopher, Winnie the Pooh, but it might be also a quote from The Office, the TV show, so you guys can fact check me on that. I'm not sure I remember. The point is, none of the things I have mentioned, none of the great things you guys will do now as graduates really matter. They don't really matter if you don't have people around you that love you no matter what and appreciate you for who you are. And there won't be a ton of those people, trust me. You really need to be aware of who they are, cherish them, and appreciate them before it might be too late. So remember, we only die once, but we live every day. So make sure you go to bed every night of every one of those days, being very aware of who those few people are, and making sure they go to bed every night knowing how much you love them. Dean Ash, Dean Hopkins, Gail, thank you so much. Graduating class of 2025, now fellow Hoosiers, remember, number one, dream hard, but focus on the small things. Number two, make your own path. It only has to work for you. Number three, be bold, be stubborn, but also be self-aware. Learn, be open to feedback, and just learn to let some things go. Number four, work hard, but find something completely different to keep you sane and have fun doing that. Number five, it's all about people, mentorship, and fit. Be generous, be kind. It will pay off. And number six and last, remember to appreciate and take care of those who love you. Thank you very much, and go IU.